All right, let's do this. Beer, groceries, wine, fishing accessories, hunting and fishing license, big game registration. Actually, this is where I registered my first. Look at that! You can't see out of that. You cannot see. There's a wonky parking lot to begin with. Like, it's really hard to kind of figure out where to go here. There's a bit of a. I don't like that. Like, that's a complete blind spot. Let that guy go. I'm gonna break the rules a bit here. Not right away though. Look at this guy's wacky driving. Interfering with my wacky driving. Anyway, yeah, so I just had the coin picking-ock meat sticks there. Oh, they're so tasty. I can eat like 100 of those in a day. Probably wouldn't be good for me though. Yeah, I registered my first deer there. Spiky the Terrible. So we're gonna take the Road Reaper. Yeah, we're gonna call this guy the Road Reaper. What do you think of that? Is that a good name for this truck? The Road Reaper. Yeah, take the Road Reaper home. That mirror's so wonky. Yeah. Well, somebody's out for a walk. Getting some exercise. Probably a relative, I don't know. Up here, like, you got a whole bunch of family up here I don't even know. It's like neighboring town is like, half the town's related to me. But it's like that pretty much for any direction from my place. In about 60-kilometer radius or 40-mile radius, pretty much it's a hit. 1 in 5 chance you're probably related to me. I'm just that guy, center of the universe. There we go. So yeah, it really feels like it's gonna rain pretty soon. So I want to see if I can get that scrap metal run in. So I got to jump out of it, get this thing home, jump out of this, jump into the silver pellet, go get my money from a client. Then on the way back, I got to get out of my silver pellet into Pops, my dad's little truck. And I forgot to ask him about it this morning or last night. See if I can get rid of some metal. I'd pick up the metal in this, but it's not my truck, so. And if I scratch this thing, I don't think my uncle would be too appreciative. Where my dad's truck's full of enough rust and stuff that he'd notice a dent, but he probably wouldn't notice a scratch. So I got to go into the scrap yard, eh? So it shouldn't be too bad in there. I mean, it's been pretty dry. So I just when the ground's really soft in there, it's like your tires sink, and there could be like a lot of metal and stuff to puncture your tires, eh? So see, I could bring the scrap home, but you know, and build it up, and then Paul and I go and we split 50-50. But I kind of like don't like to hang on to anything, because it's not like I'm not going to get more scrap, right? So, and you guys are due for a scrap metal run anyway. You haven't seen a scrap metal video in a long time, since last year. And yeah, you know, I can imagine you have some feels towards that. You know what I mean? Like, hey, where's my scrap metal run, man? I just want to see some scrap medaling. I think I got 2 batteries. 2 or 3 batteries. I don't have much copper. Got a bit of aluminum. Last year, all the cat food cans, I got, what did I get? I got something along the lines of like $5 or $6 just off the cat food cans. So I just save them up, like all the tin cans. Like, you might get $50-$60 a year just off of freaking food cans. Nobody thinks of that stuff, right? You have it, you might as well recycle it, right? It's a good idea. Good idea. So yeah, Road Reaper. We're gonna call this little guy the Road Reaper for now. Makes it sound mean and lean. Pavement pounding machine. Yeah. Now, my dad's 2007 B40 versus this 2015 GMC Canyon. Which truck would I take and why? Well, be honest with you, I'd probably still stick with the B40. And not because the B40's a phenomenally better truck. It's just, it's more work friendly. This might have a bigger box though. This truck probably pulls a lot more. But I just can't get over like you can't, like they got it set up like a car. You know what I mean? Like where the windows are shallow. Like you got to be able to see really good. With a truck, you're always in tight spaces. With a trailer and stuff, right? Where you kind of more want like a lookout tower. You know, like you don't want the 60-degree windshields on a truck. You want the lookout tower, right? Yeah, you're losing the mileage a bit, but yeah. So that's why like I've driven this thing a few times now, and I love it. It's a great truck, but it's the visibility thing, especially out the back, right? You know, you're trying to back up a trailer in this thing. You know, the problem with the trailer is like your backup thing is pretty good, but when you're close in, you can't see to the sides as well. So the camera works good straight behind you, and you know, it does give you a fair amount of view, but I don't know, I prefer a much bigger back window. I know that's a strange thing to say, like that, a back window, but like, mind you, the truck looks great, whatever, but if you're going to be doing trailer stuff, you really need a lookout, be able to look out of that back window. You know what I mean? Like in my Dodge Rams, it's, you know, kind of hard to see out the back window, but you got almost double the window there, so like you could see much better, right? It's more of a lookout tower. And then of course Freddie, my F-150, that thing was a rake cab. It doesn't get any better than that. You know, like that was probably, out of all trucks ever designed, the I forget which generation 6 or 7 or whatever, basically the one that it's a love 'em or hate it truck, but most people that drive it, like the Ford F-150s of the early 2000s, had like that kind of slope. It was the first kind of real aerodynamic truck, you know, where it's really aerodynamic. It's got this, you know, slant to do it. That thing's like driving a Ford Taurus really high up with better visibility, right? So the thing about it is, it's like that visibility is very utilitarian when you're working, right? So that's one of the big problems I see with this truck, is like your A-frame pillar is just too close. This guy driving us down the road. And I know you're speeding. I definitely know you're speeding because I'm doing the speed limit. This hill in the wintertime, I've spun out on the top of this hill. I went completely sideways facing that rock face, completely sideways that way, and then I straightened up around here. Because this all gets all icy, eh? And then the time I didn't have my camera, when all the freaking there was a tractor trailer behind me right here, just right about where the truck is. I come over there and there was bicycles as far as the eye could see, all the center of the road. They weren't at the white line, they were in right to the yellow line. And I had to go around them like that. I was able to slow down enough. The tractor trailer behind me, coming down the hill with a full load, he had to come out here. He had no choice, right? I got past all the cyclists right about here, and right about where that truck is ahead of me at the guardrails. A big truck came over. The other guy was still in that lane. That trucker took that ditch without going into the ditch. How? All I saw was dust in the mirror. I thought for sure these two trucks hit head on. How they didn't? And it was all these stupid cyclists. Oh, it's my right to be here. It's like, yeah, but this is a highway. You know what I mean? No, it was down here where the, yeah, so I just squeezed in right about here, and the other truck came in. So the a bunch of people could have been killed that day because of these dumb cyclists. You know what I mean? Like, I couldn't stay behind them because the truck would plow into me. He was too heavy. Like, I know he couldn't stop, right? Because this is a 90, or a 90 is about 55 miles an hour. All right? And, oh yeah. Like, that, like, I'm not saying they shouldn't be allowed to be on the road, but when in a group like that, if they're near the yellow line, if they're out more than a meter, they should be fined heavily, because it doesn't give anybody a place to move. By law, we're supposed to be 1.6 meters away. That's like 10 feet, or 8 feet, whatever, away from the cyclist. That means you're in that lane, right? You know, like the lane's 10 feet. You know, it's 2.5 meters or whatever. And yeah, so it's like, yeah, that was a pretty dangerous day. That, oh, I thought that was somebody else. But anyway, yeah, so not to mention all the deer and stuff. But these big cliff faces there, my cousin and I, we used